Good morning. It's good to see all of you. My name is Jen Crow. I use she, her pronouns. I'm one of the ministers here. And for the youth, they, I think, mostly got the memo that it's pajama day. Not everybody did, but I want you to know I ironed these this morning because I'm not used to leading in pajamas, so I needed a little extra press to make it work. So it is such a joy to be here today, to be leading worship with Dr. Glenn Thomas, with Allison Conley-Better, with Laura Smidzik, who is with us. We're welcoming her back for a couple of months, so we're excited that she's with us. She'll be with us part-time through mid-March while Reverend Arif is away, helping us to care for each other, leading the Ministry of Pastoral Care. So it is so good to get to be all together. We're grateful for each of you for being here as well. We're grateful to John and Olu for making the sound and technology work, for Reverend Ashley, who is with our folks online. We're grateful for the artists and ushers and greeters and everyone who makes this space beautiful and welcoming for all of us. Here, we know that beloved community is something that we practice together. It's something that we actively create. We create it by celebrating together, by moving and singing together, by breathing together, by telling stories, by connecting with each other. Here in this place, we inherit and create, we sustain and pass on the Universalist spirit of love and hope now and for times we shall never see. We do this together. Welcome to this spiritual community of individual and collective transformation. In this time of holidays and holy days, this time when we are recognizing so much all at once, the turning of the solstice, the improbable light of Hanukkah, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, the holy in each of us with Christmas, all in the span of a week, as we then approach the turning of the year. We remember what a full time this is for each and all of us, a time of joy and pain here and around the world as well. We're holding the people of Gaza, of Syria, of Sudan, of Ukraine. We're holding all those who are experiencing great pain, great struggle. Also this country, where our ideals of democracy and the inherent worth of all people are being challenged. And yet we gather, perhaps because of all of this, because we need each other. We need to make time out of time, time within time, time to bend time, to find and re-find ourselves and each other and what matters most. We need joy. We need moments of connection and care to reorient ourselves to our greatest purpose, lest we follow the wrong star home. I hope you'll join us again next Sunday for one service at 10 a.m., one service at 10 next Sunday. Come on back tonight, if you like, for Blue Holidays. This is our service at 7 o'clock tonight, both in person, down in the Cummins Room, and online, where we hold grief and loss with tenderness together during this season. Christmas Eve at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Come on back for that in person or online as well. It's good to get to be together. Now, one of the ways we care for ourselves and each other is by calming our bodies and connecting to something larger than ourselves alone. We do this by sharing in intentional breath together. So I invite you to make yourself comfortable any way that works for you. For me, I am always planting my feet on the floor, always taking a moment to open up the breathing space. And I invite you, if you'd like, to breathe together, perhaps a little longer and slower on the inhale, perhaps a little slower on the exhale as well. We'll do this 3 times together. from this place of connection. We remember the hopes and the promises that keep us together. And together we share in saying the words for the lighting of our chalice. Feel free to join in or to let these wash over you. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We help one another.
Good morning, First Universalist Church.
Good morning, Allison.
It is terrific to see you all. Just trying to spruce things up here. On this morning, there are many people in our congregation, some at the first service, some here, who are honoring our pajamas to church day. Some of you are also fabulous in other ways. I'm going to invite anybody who would like to participate to come right up here for a little fashion show. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah, yes, thank you. Amazing. Yes, yes. The fashion is so good. Oh, yeah. Some pajamas. I love it. And the boot. Amazing. Now, would you all strut to the front, do a twirl, walk back. Amazing. Let me hear some oohs and ahs. Oohs and ahs. Amazing. You may strut back to your seats. Let's see those fashion walks. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Amazing holiday fashion. That's right. Let's give it up. Honestly, I think we need to branch out like that more often. So I bet this fashion show and maybe my tree outfit were unexpected for you today. And I bet that my jokes were pun-expected for you today. But what our models were wearing, even what I'm wearing, what our ministers are wearing, is intentional. We wore these clothes on purpose. And we wear many clothes on purpose. We make these decisions. We put on pajamas to sleep or be cozy. We put on festive outfits to mark this time of year. We wear silly costumes to bring a little bit of play and lightness into the world. We even wear special clothes to do special jobs. Can anyone think of a job that requires some special clothing? Yeah, Tupelo. Astronaut. The clothing, very important to the job. That's exactly right. What else? Yes, a postal worker. Absolutely. Firemen. What was up here? Medicine. Yes, doctors, nurses. Absolutely. There's so many jobs that require certain special clothing. People who do these jobs wear their clothes on purpose. They wear these clothes on purpose. And we can do things on purpose, you and me. We can do things on purpose at any time, even when we run into things that are unexpected. For me, the unexpected, this costume dramatically limits my field of vision. Unexpected. And yet, I can do things on purpose, and you can too. The next few weeks, with the winter holidays coming our ways, can find us out of rhythm in all sorts of ways. Bedtimes go out the window, we're eating new foods. Sometimes we like those foods, and sometimes they're fruitcake. But even in the midst of all of these changes, unexpected or maybe familiar, we can do things on purpose. I invite you to take a moment to think about just one decision that you want to make on purpose in the next few weeks. It could be when you want to rest or take a break. It might be when you want to set a boundary or when you want to be really present. So I invite you right now to just think, what is one decision you want to make on purpose over the next few weeks? Just hold it in your heart. You can put your hand over your heart like this as you're thinking about that decision, what it might feel like, what might be happening. I hope that all of you over the next few weeks get to make some decisions on purpose. And I hope that making those decisions on purpose helps you feel more confident, more proud, more grounded. But even if they don't, even if making those decisions on purpose doesn't make them easier, I hope it helps to know that these people in this church make the decision to be in community with you every time they show up. And I hope that makes it a little bit easier. Like we do on so many Sundays at this time, we will continue our worship in different places. So my kindergarten through fifth graders, you are going to follow Harut, wave Harut, down to the Cummins room. You'll be there for the whole service. Adults, if you would like to pick up your children after worship, they will be in the Cummins room. Thank you so much, Harut, for leading our kids and doing some crafts, playing some games today. You will continue the energy that we've begun here, maybe some of the silliness, some of the unexpectedness. Our kids will now make like a tree and leaf.
Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it
Wow, I feel fortunate to sit up here and I got to hear that. Was that you singing that closing note? Oh my goodness. A very low note came out at the end of that song. That was beautiful. So together we will move into a time of prayer and meditation. It's a busy time here in the church. You may notice that if you look down in the ground at your pews, there's all sorts of feathers or crumbs or things. We've had solstice and had the pageant here, so it's been a well-used building over the last couple of days. And I also know that in our own lives, people are busy. So let's take a moment to return to where Jen took us at the beginning of the service, to slow down, to settle our bodies into a moment of breath and silence. Feel your body on the pew or wherever you are sitting at home. If you're here, recognize the wood that came from a tree that is literally holding you right now. Settle into your body. Close your eyes if that is comfortable for you, or let them rest on the flame or on the light coming into the room. Feel your breath that calms down our nervous systems and brings us deeper into our bodies. Let's settle into a shared sacred silence for a few moments. Just let your mind watch your breath go in and out, in and out. Cultivate a place of peace for this moment. And then remind yourself that your body can go to this place anytime. In the middle of cooking a meal, in the middle of a game of cards, or watching the news or whatever. Just know that you can return to your breath and to a place of peace for a moment. We know that there are so many stories and truths that make up our lives, and some of them are silent and untold, but all of them are remembered in the body of our bodies and in the body of the land and in this shared breath that connects us all, here today and across the generations. We make time together here to share our stories with each other in silent reflection and out loud, as we mark together the turning of the cycle of life for all of us. We do this by listening for each other, and after any of us has shared briefly the heaviness or the joy that you are carrying, we will respond with saying, "You are not alone. We are holding it together." The circle is open. For Steve, who has Parkinson's. You are not alone. We are holding it together. Visiting from out of town, and their son has leukemia. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For friend Liz, who is often offered help but backs out at the last minute. You are not alone. We are holding it together. 3 weeks since the death of her husband. Oh, 3 years, sorry, 3 years. I heard that and did not translate it correctly. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For people struggling with alcoholism and unable to leave the house, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For the joy of the pageant yesterday, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For instability in work life, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For the increasing amount of light during our daytime, you are not alone. We are holding it together. Yay.
Or my sister Sherry, who ended up in the hospital with diabetes complications.
For,
J. Will Coe.
for Sister Sherry, who had a diabetic incident, ended up in the hospital, but is doing better. You are not alone. We are holding it together. We stand in solidarity with our siblings at Temple Israel who experienced the defacement of their building with anti-Semitic graffiti earlier this week. And we condemn all acts of hatred and oppression. And our siblings over at the Islamic Community Center and leader, Dr. Hamni El-Sawaf, have asked for our prayers as they care for and worry about their Muslim siblings in Syria and Palestine. And we hold Congregant Meg Riley, who is home, happily recovering from complete reversal shoulder surgery on her dominant arm. She's doing well. You are not alone. We are holding it together. Thank you, Reb Jen Crow, for keeping me moving here. For all those prayers held silently in our hearts, we say, you are not alone. We are holding it together. And together we pray that the weight of oppression might be lightened, that the grip of addiction might be loosened, that grief might be shared, and that joy might break through, and that love might make every suffering bearable for all of us. Amen.
I am so very grateful for each and every one of you. Everyone that's here, everyone that's joining us online, everyone who has been here or will be here over the course of this week for all of our variety of holiday services. My heart is full. And I don't know about you, but I've been needing that a lot these days. I need my heart filled up because we are in really difficult times, times that are going to get harder still. And we are going to need each other. We need each other so very much. So I will admit blatantly, I'm going to pivot right now to talking about our annual giving efforts, and I am going to tell you why I am doing this. So you have probably seen these out in the narthex or downstairs. You'll be receiving them in your mailbox or your email box if you haven't already. This is a request from us, your church leaders, staff and board, and all of our lay leadership, if possible for you, to get your annual giving commitments for the 25-26 church year in by Inauguration Day on January 20th. Now, this is aggressive, this is early, this is different. I know all of that is true, and we're doing it on purpose. We're doing it on purpose because we are the ones who fund this church. All of us make it possible. There's no magic outside income source. It's just us, really. And it is up to us to be ready, to be able to care for each other, and to be able to care for those in our community, within our community and beyond our walls, who are at risk. And it's up to us to be ready to support the priorities that they are naming for us. We don't want to be spending our time on fundraising for ourselves when we need to be ready to be able to support the community here and beyond our walls. So that's why we're doing this early. That's why we're doing it now. That's why we're asking you to get those commitments in to support the church by January 20th, if at all possible, even though those gifts won't start till July 1. Okay, so it's a commitment that you're making to be able to be a part of something bigger than yourself that's going to sustain all of us. Now, that's the practical information that is absolutely important. I want to talk a little bit about the personal piece too. So, I don't know about you, but I have been feeling at times despair, overwhelmed, fear, sometimes joy and renewal, mostly when I come together with you all. Mostly when I am here together and when we are dreaming about what we can do for the future. That is what helps me the most, right? From these places of despair and overwhelm and fear, we need to ground in, right? The image I have been thinking of a lot has been we need to knit ourselves into the fabric of life right now. Knitting ourselves into the fabric of life. Sometimes we do that financially, like with the church, but I want to encourage you to do it in other ways too. To sign up for the small groups here, to be a part of the intercultural development inventory spiritual work that we're doing together, to deepen your spiritual practice, to show up here with and for each other, because we need one another and we need to create this space for others as well. Now, some of what you'll read when you take a look at the pledge packet is how we are showing up for each other and also how we're going to show up for the community at large. So one thing I can definitely share with you is that really just this past week, I completely emptied the Minister's Emergency Fund. This is a fund that we use to help support folks who need help paying rent, who are at risk of eviction, who need help with medical care, who need a boost during a difficult time. So all of our holiday services, we are soliciting gifts to that Minister's Emergency Fund so we can keep caring for each other in this community and beyond our walls. But what else we're doing is we are getting ready. You know that we have built an apartment within this building that is a sanctuary space. This is a space for folks who are at risk of deportation, immigrants, and it is a special spot here where folks can come and stay where they are safer than they would be out in the larger community. That apartment space will be full again starting in January. We will be supporting immigrants at risk of deportation here in the building. We are also preparing to be a welcoming village for trans and non-binary and gender expansive folks who are making the move from other states where they have less access to health care and less legal protection. So we are preparing to become that welcoming village. We have literally been looking out this week at apartments that we can rent that can be landing spaces for folks, that we can support them as they make these difficult transitions. We're looking at how we can be a place that is a source of information and access for reproductive health care. These are just a few of the things that we are getting ready to do. And these are the places I want to put my energy with all of you. So that is the invitation, is to help us support the work of the church now so that we are ready to respond to the needs within this community and beyond our walls as well. So I hope you'll take a look. I hope you'll make a commitment. I already did mine. We increased trying to keep up with inflation at least. So I would encourage you to consider at least a 5 to 10% inflation increase off your previous pledge, if not more, to know that you're a part of this important work together. I'm pivoting to today's offering because it is a spiritual practice for us to share our financial resources with each other and with the larger community so that everyone can have what they need. Today, we will be sharing our offering with People Serving People. This is an organization in the community that does such important work. If this is a time when you can give, we hope you will generously. If this is a time you need to receive, we always find a way to support each other financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Just talk to any one of the staff if you have a financial need. Now, I want you to imagine a family here in Minneapolis, a family navigating the weight of uncertainty during these holidays. Imagine what a warm room and a shared meal, a moment of stability might feel like. Something that many of us take for granted becomes a lifeline. People Serving People is a beacon for families experiencing homelessness, offering shelter and care and dignity during life's most vulnerable times. Your generosity helps keep families together and safe, reminding us all that presence begins with meeting one another's deepest needs. I invite you to be as generous as you are able as we support People Serving People today. So we have two readings this morning. The first is from Howard Thurman, American author and philosopher, theologian, mystic, educator, civil rights leader. Howard Thurman's theology of radical nonviolence influenced and shaped a generation of civil rights activists. He was a key mentor to so many leaders within the civil rights movement, including Martin Luther King Jr. And he, in 1944, co-founded, along with Alfred Fisk, the first major interracial, interdenominational church in the United States. This is from his book, Meditations of the Heart. There is within each of us the possibility of an island of peace within one's own soul. The individual lives life in midst of countless stresses and strains. There are many tasks in which they are engaged that are not meaningful to them, though they are important in secondary ways. There are responsibilities that are theirs by virtue of training or family or position. Again and again, decisions must be made, large and small, that bind them in unseen ways. No one is free from the peculiar pressures of life. Each of us must deal with the evil aspects of living, with injustices inflicted upon us and injustices we wittingly or unwittingly inflict on others. We are all caught in the profound conflicts of our weaknesses and strengths. The only hope for surcease, the only possibility of stability, is to establish an island of peace within one's own soul. Here we bring for review the purposes and dreams to which our lives are tied. This is the place where there is no pretense, no dishonesty, no adulteration. What we truly think and feel about ourselves and others is revealed. Love is love, hate is hate, fear is fear. Well, within the island is the temple where God dwells. Not the God of creed or church or family, but the God of one's heart. Into this presence we come with all that we are. We ask, what am I? What are my plans? What is my authentic point? Where does my life go? All of it stands revealed in the presence.
Clearing, a poem by Martha Postlethwaite, who was previously the pastor at the Recovery Church in St. Paul. Do not try to save the whole world or do anything grandiose. Instead, create a clearing in the dense forest of your life and wait there patiently until the song that is your life falls into your own cupped hands and you recognize and greet it. Only then will you know how to give yourself to this world so worthy of rescue.
The next piece is by the modern, under-awarded, under-accoladed jazz composer, the black genius, James Williams. He calls his piece Beauty Within. And you'll notice that there are always two keys going on at the same time. It's not cacophony so much as I think he's helping us to see that often the beauty within comes from the places where multiple truths are present.
I went so far into that island of peace, I had to re-bring myself forward. Thank you. So once a week, I get up a little earlier than usual. I leash up my old dog, who happens to know what day of the week it is only for this day. And we head to the place where Minnehaha Creek joins the Mississippi. I walk there each week on the same day that my dog knows, and we walk together. I walk with my friend, her dog. We walk and talk and catch up on our week, but mostly what we're doing is watching. We're watching as the seasons change and the leaves come and go. We're watching as the herons arrive and pose majestically in the water and then awkwardly fly up into the sky somehow. We watch as the ice comes in on the river and the creek. We watch the people fishing in the morning, and we watch when they are no longer there. And we walk slowly in this place. It's not about exercise. It's about wandering and wondering and noticing and about watching. It's about helping each other watch the world and watch our lives with it along the way. It was a couple weeks ago in our worship service that was centered on healing and on healing from trauma when I shared a sentence from Prentice Hempel's book, What It Takes to Heal. Prentice Hempel, the Black non-binary therapist and somatics teacher, writer, organizer, they wrote this in their book. You might remember it. They said, healing always happens in relationship. Healing always happens in relationship, whether it's a relationship with a therapist, a tree, or a grandmother. This line has been sitting with me, and I've been realizing the relationship I have been developing with this particular place where the Minnehaha Creek meets the Mississippi. And I've been developing a relationship with a particular tree there too that I wanted to show you. So we'll take a look and see that one. Now, I take a look out for this one in particular every week because the beavers are hard at work. They are busy in those woods, and every week I think this is the week it's going to go down. And there it is with a thinner and thinner piece. This again from Prentice Hempel. When no one else had me, it was the ground that held my feet. When I felt most insecure or unwanted, I always knew how to get lost in the depth of the forest, the movement of the creek. I can tell by how my attention settles that I belong here, if nowhere else, that I am from and of this ecosystem. It's a belonging I haven't had to doubt. When we feel alone, it can be helpful to be with the life around us that has remained here, whether or not we see or acknowledge it. Microbes and insects, birds and trees that are regenerating, adapting, restoring. That island of peace within. For me, sometimes I find it out in the woods as much as anywhere else. And I'll tell you, as we've moved more deeply into winter, things look different on these weekly walks that I am taking. That tree is going to come down eventually, it has to, but it's also dark when we arrive now for our walk, pitch dark. And I wonder, how did I ever make it out of bed to get to this place? But then the sun starts to come up, and the glow that happens is just unbelievable. I've been watching as the water in the creek goes from sluggish to frozen in places, and watching as the bubbles flow with the water underneath. I've been looking out at the emptiness that is there now, just the trees, not the leaves, some of the nests I can see. And I can imagine differently what this landscape is and how people and beings are moving through it in the deepest of winter. I've been reading Russian fairy tales with my daughter, and one of the things they talk about is how in some of the coldest places in Russia, travel is different in the winter, because all of a sudden you travel on the river. It is an open road, unobstructed. You travel across frozen bodies of water, and ways of traveling, pathways are open that were previously severely obstructed. What is that? What is that metaphorically for us, too? I'm out there walking much more slowly where it's icy now, wearing more layers to keep my body warm, and I know there will be days when the path we usually take is impassable. Maybe it will help us to practice what is always true in life, but I am often trying to push away from. The fact that life and nature, my life, the turnings in all of our lives are unpredictable. as much as we settle ourselves in routines, even that routine of the weekly walk. Nature reminds us, just like it did this week when the snow comes, that some things will interrupt us, take us in a different direction, move us to a different course, way of being. Maybe a new path will open up for us across the ice, somewhere that was previously impassable. I talk every Thursday morning with a friend in the South, and she marvels at the presence of snow and the cold that we experience here. Her kids are just wondering, hoping for a day they might experience this magical thing of snow, right? And she tells me over and over, sometimes when I don't even want to hear it, that here in Minnesota there are such rich spiritual gifts for us in the stark changes in the seasons. She talks about how good it must be to have a time when things slow down, when the outsides match the insides, when we sometimes need to go into those periods of wintering in our own soul and spirit, when we need to huddle around a fire, when we need to connect with each other, when we need to go slower and to pay attention to those rhythms in our lives. She looks at us and names the gifts of winter, of the slowing down, the making do with whatever we have, those pathways opening up across the ice, the different quality of light, the way that darkness actually makes things clearer and is a home for creativity, for possibility, for dreaming. I'm reminded that the places we get in trouble are often when we don't adjust ourselves to meet the realities of the seasons, whether it's the season that is going on for us spiritually or emotionally or physically, or the season that's happening outside the walls. So often our cultural rhythms assume that seasonal changes don't matter, that they have no impact on us, but of course they do. They matter in our bodies, our minds, our spirits. You can ask anybody that lives here if the seasons matter, and we know they do. Ask anybody that struggles with seasonal affective disorder. You know the seasons matter. And in these seasons, here we are working to create those inner islands of peace, to cultivate an island of peace within, that we might more fully give ourselves to our lives, to being present, to knowing the authentic point of our particular lives, to being a part of this world that is so worthy of rescue. How might we be creating those inner islands of peace? I wonder what that looks like. This same friend of mine from the South said last week, she's a minister too, she said, just give yourself a break. It doesn't really matter what you have to say on Christmas Eve or on the solstice night. It's never about the words. Everybody's just clawing their way to that moment where you light the candles in the dark. When you pass the light one to the other, and the room that was full of darkness becomes full of this warm glow of light. She said, let's get real. Everybody's just clawing their way to silent night. That's what people want. Last night and the night before, when we celebrated solstice and then the Christmas pageant, that moment happened. The moment with the spreading of the light. It was powerful. It's such a place of regeneration for us. Remembering that each and every one of us is that light, that we share it and build it together. This is something we do together. So this togetherness, these moments where the light grows, where we can experience, I hope, those inner islands of peace. Sometimes they happen alone, when we are apart from. Sometimes they happen when we are a part of. There's this tension, right? A writing teacher of mine talked about it as being both apart and apart, that we need both of those things. We need time apart. We need time apart. I love this image because those times apart cannot be the be-all and end-all of our spiritual life or our spiritual experience. It's about being knit into the fabric of life, of being deeply connected with each other and each other's experiences. It's about connecting to something larger than ourselves. Time apart, time apart. Dr. Glenn Thomas and I were talking earlier this week about this idea of cultivating those islands of peace within, and he brought up the essential point that cultivating that island of peace within, resting, is really different than checking out. Checking out might be something we need to do from time to time to get a break, a breather. But these inner islands of peace, this rest that I'm talking about, this place that Howard Thurman talks about where the inner presence is that speaks the truth. This is something that enables us to line up our deepest values with our actions. It's a wellspring within us of love and peace and strength for the work that is ahead. It's about engagement with the world and sometimes that inner place and inner peace, too. Howard Thurman also wrote at a different time that a person must be at home somewhere before they can be at home everywhere. We have to know those places of peace, those places of belonging, if we are to feel connected and a part of everywhere. Now, I say this, and I know Howard Thurman was no stranger to the very real experiences in the world of separation, of oppression, the impact of racism. He was, in fact, one of the mentors in the civil rights movement. He knew that these places of inner peace were essential to sustain us when we are working against the forces of evil. He knew that we had to have that. It's not about fragmentation. It's about connection. We have to know a place where we are at home somewhere before we can be at home everywhere, and before we can act with courage and care in all of those places. We have to know places of belonging. Again, to Prentice Hempel, this is their words. To belong is to rest into the collective, to be woven into the all. I love that, to be woven into the all. To belong, it's the feeling that the group has found meaning in your presence, that what you bring is needed and wanted here. At the very least, it is to know that we are connected, whether we like it or not. As James Baldwin wrote, each of us helplessly and forever contains the other. Each of us helplessly and forever contains the other. Male and female, female and male, white and black in white. We are a part of each other. Many of my countrymen appear to find this fact exceedingly inconvenient and even unfair. And so very often do I, he said. But none of us can do anything about it. We are connected, whether we like it or not. We are a part of each other, woven into the all. As we make our turn in earnest into the deeper parts of this winter, I wonder where are the places where you feel yourself woven into the all? The places where you know a sense of belonging, a place of home, a place of deep interconnection. Where are the places where you are cultivating an inner island of peace? What are you watching? Noticing out your window, in the woods, in another being that you love? What are you noticing? We're going to need all of it. The inward islands of peace, the connection of being woven into all. We will need both in these days ahead. May we cultivate them together. Amen.
Let's sing together. Will you rise with me?
I hope you will keep weaving yourself into this community. Join us tonight at 7 for Blue Holidays in person and online, Christmas Eve at 7, next Sunday, one service at 10, and then a place for a real sense of being woven into all. Join us for a special concert on January 25th with Peter Mayer and J.D. Stillwater here at church. So many ways to be connected. May we watch and wonder. May we cultivate those inward islands of peace and connection. May it be so. Amen.
It will be only
Thanks.